There's a piece of paper there for questions. I don't know what you all know about Cuba. My guess is that, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that you don't know very much. And if anyone can answer those questions before they leave, I'll treat you to burns once a month for the rest of your life. I don't make any money. I've been doing this for 22 years. I'm shocked that I've been doing it this long. I was born and raised in New York City. My mother was born in Cuba. I left here Labor Day 1965 to go work in Washington, D.C. for 6 months as a gopher in Senator Smather's office, and 41 years went by. I loved every minute of it. What happened on January the 6th was very personal and special for me. I used to work right on the Senate floor, and I don't think the American people have a clue of how close we came to something very serious insurrection in our society. I've been in Cuba over 100 times. This is my passion, my hobby, where I was in my career in D.C. I'm not rich, I'm not poor, I have a lot of time on my hands, and I wanted to visit the country that my mother was born in. And the only thing I knew about United States Cuba policy in 1998 was that Fidel Castro was 35 feet tall, has horns, breathes fire, and rapes 10-year-old girls every chance he gets, which is fine with me. After my first visit there, I realized there's something drastically wrong with this policy. Drastically wrong. I believe it's immoral, and it's been 61 years in a country 90 miles from us, that so many of us in this community have a heritage too. The purpose of this event is Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. When Joe Biden was elected, I'm going to admit something here for the first time, so please don't hold it against me. But I feel very comfortable being extremely critical of Donald Trump. Very, very comfortable. And why? Because I voted for him the first time. But 6 months after I voted for him, I realized the error of my way. And I'm pretty good at predicting racism. When Joe Biden was elected, everybody was before, this is great, this is wonderful. Well, it isn't all that great, and it isn't all that wrong. And I was there when Joe Biden came on the Senate floor for the first time. I've known him since 1972. The good news is that fortunately for America at this point in time, we're fortunate to have him because his whole instinct, his whole purpose, he is a consensus builder. That's what he does. Was he the best choice? When he started out this process, no, he was not. But he is the best choice now. And what Donald Trump did in the last few months of his presidency towards Cuba is immoral. So I wish I could find it in a better word. It is absolutely immoral. By executive order, he did many, many things to squeeze people of Cuba. And the motivation of the policy is very simple. Make the people of Cuba suffer, and they are suffering tremendously. Make them suffer, and they will rise up and overthrow this government. That policy has not worked for 61 years, and it ain't gonna happen. Joe Biden gets elected, and everybody was before it. This is great. Well, he's been president now for a couple of months. And what has he done on the United States Cuba policy? Nothing. Zero. And today, by November the 10th, I was knowing this issue cold. And on December the 3rd, some of us, Peggy Land in here, paid for a full page ad in, like I said, the newspaper, December the 3rd. And this is what we said to Jim President Joe Biden, Secretary of State President Lincoln, in the spirit of Jose Marti and Barack Obama and the American people, please and vote. Rescind immediately Donald Trump's executive order regarding the disastrous United States Cuba policy. This can be done in the first few days of your historic administration, in 15 minutes. Now, I know Joe Biden was busy on January the 20th, inauguration, I got it. But my advice to him, the memorandum, was that on the morning of January 21, after he has breakfast, all he has to do is pick up a pen and paper and write these words down. Effective immediately, I am rescinding all of Donald Trump's executive orders regarding Cuba, signed Joe Biden. It begs the question, why has he not done it? Okay? And he hasn't done it, and everybody else doesn't do it. Okay? There's this mentality that this Cuban American vote in South Florida is extremely powerful. Trust me, that is just a perception. The gap between the perception of their power and the reality is huge. Look, everybody, and then we turn right around, and the Florida Democratic Party elected a Cuban American, Manny Diaz, the former mayor of Miami, as the chairman of the Democratic Party. I find that insane. This is the same man who was a lawyer for the family of Leon Gonzalez. I'm sure some of you remember that little boy that was found in the waters of the wet foot, right foot policy. And they kidnapped him. They held him hostage in his home. That little boy was always going back to Cuba. The law was very, very clear. But the family in Miami just kidnapped him. Manny Diaz was a lawyer of that family, and he advised that family to break United States law. Manny Diaz was a Democrat at the time. You all remember the story where the SWAT team kind of went into the house, grabbed that little boy very dramatically. And they had to do that because they would not turn the little boy over, which the law required. Manny Diaz then held a press conference and trashed the Attorney General of the United States, Janet Reno, renounced the Democratic Party, and quit the Democratic Party. And a month or so ago, Florida Democratic Party elects him as their new chairman. I need somebody to connect those dots for me. But it is the perceived power, because in the Biden election, why did Biden do so poorly in South Florida? Doesn't make any difference. You don't need Cuban American vote. And I'm going to go to my dying right here. That is just a perception. Any ethnic group can claim that it was their group that put candidate X over the top. But they're very good. They're very organized. They speak with one voice. And so now we have the chairman of the Democratic Party, Manny Diaz, whose number one goal is going to be the chairman of the Cuban American extremists in Miami. The second job will be chairman of the Democratic Party. Does anybody believe that Manny Diaz is going to recruit young Democratic candidates that have my views on U.S. Cuba policy to run for any office in the state legislature or wherever? So the other side is very good, and we just give them a pass. I'm living proof. I was gone for 41 years, as I mentioned to you. I came back here in 2006 to run for Congress. It was an open seat. Jim Davis gave up 5 Democrats. It's a Democrat seat. And I was trashed. There were signs around West Tampa, City. If you want Fidel Castro to have a voice in the United States Congress, vote for Al Fox. Signed Ralph Fernandez, proud Democrat. Well, it was cutesy back then, but that's not kind of collected on it. But what is the point? And I led with my chin. Others were very supportive of me, handful of them. Every Democrat in that race had Marco Rubio's position, including Kathy Castro. 36 months later, the city of Tampa, the county commission, the Port Authority, the aviation authority, they now have my position on the executive policy. So individuals you can make a difference. And I don't say this to enlarge myself, because I said this has become my hobby, my passion. I've never been paid a penny. I founded the Alliance. I received no compensation. And the reason, and I'm a capitalist, started to small business, but the reason I don't receive any money, and I've offered people want to retain me for 4 or 5 months at $5,000, $10,000 a month. The reason I don't take any money, not that would offer me $100,000 a month, I think it would take it, is because my relationship with the Cuban government is this. When I go to the Cuban government and say, you know, I think Councilman Bill Carlson, Councilman Guido Maniscalco, they need to come visit Cuba, and you need to put the dog out for them, you need to impress them, okay? The first thought that might enter their mind is, well, that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. But the second idea that's going into their mind is, you know, I almost really think that that's important, because we know that he doesn't have any clients, and no one is paying to do this. And I see Dr. Shaw, who just came in, and I don't want to embarrass you, Doctor, but if I may take just one moment, and that is, this is a young man who was born and raised in Texas, He always wanted to be a medical doctor, and he didn't get into this medical school or that medical school, and he read that in Cuba there's a medical school that will educate you for free. And he packed his bag and he went to Cuba. He got in that school. He was trained as a medical doctor, married a Cuban, and Dr. Shaw is now the head of the emergency room at Brandon Hospital here in our community. Stand up, Dr.
Thanks, Al. I didn't have to do that.
So think of that. This poor third world country educates American citizens to be doctors. Now, in a different crowd, the Ralph Hernandez type people in this community. Sure, that's propaganda, because then he's got to pedal for that passport. He will tell you no conditions whatsoever except one. And this, the Cuban government covered this for a military academy. When you go back home, spend a year providing free medical attention to some people that need it. Okay? And he's a pretty good doctor. So I am completely and thoroughly disgusted with my friend Joe Biden. He's done nothing. He's issued over 40 executive orders. And again, it begs the question, this is low-hanging fruit. So Joe Biden's administration is going to take us back to where Barack Obama's administration ended. But it ain't going to be tomorrow afternoon. My prediction is, in the next 30 days or so, the Biden administration can issue some executive order about remittances to send money back home. But that's it. It'll take 4 years. This is an election year. And there's always a very good reason on the surface why not to act on Cuba. Okay? And people ask me all the time, why are you trying to help the people of Cuba? And my answer is, I'm not trying to help the people of Cuba. That's their problem. My problem is, as an American, I'm trying to help America. Everyone in this room can go to North Korea, Yemen, China, pick a country. And you can go there because you're an American citizen, you have a right to travel. But you can't go to Cuba. Why not? Well, they still talk about Fidel Castro. He's been gone for about 10 years. The Castro brothers and oppression and political prisoners and human rights violations and all the other stuff. No one's ever going to convince me that to whatever degree human rights violations are taking place in Cuba, that they're greater than Saudi Arabia, that they're greater than China. They'll never convince me. For those of you that old enough remember 20 years ago, there was a young man who was 17 years old, standing in Tiananmen Square in front of the tanks. And you know what that young man is? He is still in jail. I think that's a pretty serious human rights violation. So I'm disgusted, I'm annoyed, frustrated with what the Biden administration has done. And there's some reason to do that. We now have the head of Homeland Security, and Alejandro Mayorkas, Cuban, and all the other same story. They fled Cuba and communism and oppression. He was 6 months old. Mayorkas landed in Miami. He was 6 months old in 1961. And you know where he went to live? In Beverly Hills. That's where he was raised, in the mansion in Beverly Hills. So I need to know where this suffering, all this suffering comes from. Here locally, Ralph Hernandez, who's my nemesis, he talks about the suffering and this and that and the other. He came here when he's 6 years old. And when he's 7 years old, he's living on Davis Island. I was born and raised in Ybor City, and the first time I went to Davis Island, I was 18 years old delivering furniture for Galloway Furniture Company. So there is the gap between the propaganda and the reality. And it literally breaks my heart. Some friends of ours contributed some money, $3,700. You can't send it to some friends in Cuba. Donald Trump cut the remittance. Think of that. And what happened was, we had a policy for close to 60 years. Let's get every Cuban out of Cuba. Let's give them a special visa, a special right to come to America because they're beaten and they're tortured and they're oppressed. The law and immigration law applied only to Cubans. Okay? And then the Anglo members of the Congress of the United States started going to the Marco Rubio and the Cuban American members of the Congress of the United States and said, you know, you asked me to support you on Cuba blindly, it's a Florida issue, and it's complicated, and I've done it. But now, for the last couple of years, there's a great guy named Albert Bach, others have been running all over the Congress, and they come see me, and they say, why do you support this Cuba policy? Okay? And well, the people are oppressed, and they come and say, okay, well, explain this to me. We give someone special asylum that leaves Cuba, for whatever reason. The minute they touch our soil, they get $300 a month, food stamp, healthcare benefits, aid education, small business loan, because they're oppressed. Well, where do you think they go on vacation? They go back to Cuba. Where do you think they go to spend their grandmother's 80th birthday celebration? Well, they go back to Cuba. Well, which is it? If it's so bad and so pressing it out, why doesn't the Cuban government let them come and go? So you can see that I'm passionate about this. I believe in America. I believe in capitalism. I think we're one of the greatest countries since Adam and Eve. But every once in a while we get it wrong. And this policy towards Cuba is today immoral and has been immoral.